While we have already looked at a definition of gender, we're going to focus in specifically on the term gender binary. And we're going to do this by taking a look at something that many of us have been invited to over the years, right? A gender reveal party. Everything's pink or blue. Hershey's bars, right? You're never going to look at them the same way again. And a lot of times there's a cake, and we cut into the cake. What do we find? And when we get invited to these parties, all those pictures I just shared were from Pinterest. Now we've kind of moved over to Etsy, where you could buy invitations and you start to see this binary, this one or the other, opposites, right? Tutus or ties, quarterback or cheerleader, boots or bows, cupcake or stud muffin, lures or lace, rifles or ruffles, guns or glitter, pistols or pearls. There is a surprising amount of weaponry actually in gender reveal invitations. So here's some that are not maybe as like opposite. I think that last one's interesting. Basically, the masculine version of a baby shower. Like, let's go drink beer and can you bring me diapers, please? So, speaking of masculine, who goes to baby showers, right? Who goes to wedding showers? Oftentimes that's feminine, right? Not always, but it's kind of historically. But something is happening with gender reveals that is pretty darn masculine. I mean, exploding things is generally something that I guess gets categorized as masculine. And they're using that to celebrate babies, which oftentimes is celebrated in feminine spaces. So that interesting intersection of the two. So this term binary, it's these two things and they're completely opposite. Yes or no, black or white, right or wrong, something along those lines. Whatever is one way means it's not the other. Things that are masculine are not feminine, and things that are feminine are not masculine. So we have this gender binary. And what we say with the binary is that you only get these two choices. There's only two types of people. There are female body people who are feminine, and there are male body people who are masculine. And those are the two choices society offers as norms. Now, is that accurate? No, there's diversity in gender identity. Now, there's also, we're not, as a society, by and large, we've not accepted that as the norm, which is excruciatingly painful and, quite honestly, downright dangerous for people sometimes to not fit into this gender binary. But gender identity is becoming far more understood as being nuanced, as possibly being fluid. It is not something that everybody is comfortable with by any means. It is sometimes, quite honestly, weaponized in certain political spaces and things along those lines. But it's interesting to think about the fact of like, where is the tension between the continuing norms in our society and human beings and the freedom to be who we are. One of the ways to deconstruct binaries is with a continuum. And so a continuum identifies the fact that, yes, there are edges. There are the edges, masculinity and femininity, but what happens in between those two opposing poles? And so here is an example. This is actually in on-campus classes. I have activities, like little small group activities, probably like 60, possibly even 70% of the time. So I do just like little bits of lecture, which is why maybe I can crank out these, they're called micro lectures, because I'm used to only packing it in, talking fast. And so this is an example that I share with students as we get ready to do this particular activity, as you can see, a continuum. And this, we fill out this paper entirely. Like this is just me starting them off with ideas. So you're dealing with my messy writing here. So right there in the middle is androgyny. It's everybody. It's human qualities. We all get mad. We all get stressed. We all get angry. We all get tired. We all wear jeans, right? But jeans end up being feminine. Or not feminine. They end up being gendered. There's jeans that are feminine. There's jeans that are masculine. We wear glasses, but those navy blue floral glasses that I got this year that I'm super excited about, yeah, they're probably feminine, right? Tattoos. Everybody has tattoos, but content and placement is gendered. A butterfly tattoo on your shoulder? Yeah, right? So thinking about where like things are placed in this continuum. You've got the edges that are hyper masculine and hyper feminine, but like look where I put cooking. And this, maybe you'd put it someplace totally different, which would be awesome. I love when students see something that I do and they're like, but no, wait, what about this? That's the best. I put it as feminine, but kind of almost to the middle. I don't know. The last thing I want you to think about in relation to this is somebody who identifies as feminine. If they drink beer and they know all about football and they drive a truck, that's cool, right? People who are feminine can traverse into masculinity and that's accepted. and quite honestly, sometimes celebrated. People who identify as masculine, can they traverse into femininity? Yes, they can. But something happens sometimes. Like if somebody's favorite shirt, they identify as masculine, and their favorite shirt is the cutest shade of pink. Sometimes other people who are masculine, or quite honestly, sometimes people who are feminine, do this too. We tease, right? And maybe that person's like, oh, screw you. This is my favorite shirt. I own it. I love it. And I think that's amazing. But think about that teasing, right? We could do it lovingly. We joke with our friends, that type of stuff. But ultimately, sometimes that teasing that can happen is to try and like make sure that people understand like masculinity stays as masculinity and it's not as accepted to traverse into femininity. I hope that's changing. I hope that more and more in a society we realize the possibilities of a continuum and the possibilities of gender freedom. And one of the ways that we can consider the possibilities is to learn more about it.